This is the guy who says he can just walk up and grab them by their private areas and nobody's going to do nothing because he got money. And now people are surprised about him covering up the Epstein files. This is ridiculous.
This is for educational and entertainment purposes only.
Hello, and welcome to the Think Tank, where we use critical thinking, deductive reasoning, and just a pinch of common sense to draw unbiased logical conclusions. Today we're here to talk about, once again, the Epstein files, and in this particular case, the law that required the Epstein files to be released that was ignored by our current administration. And we're going to talk about all of the twists and turns that got us at the point right now where it is now executive branch versus Congress versus Supreme Court. But to dig into this with me today, I am honored to have my guest co-host back once again, thankfully, the Honorable Dion Powell. Dion, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, family. Here's some vibes, or whatever you want to call it, from this nice virtual backdrop as we're here in doom gloomy, Democratic Socialist New York City. I'm District Leader Dion Powell of the Bronx Conservative Party, consultant, community leader, solutionist, strategist, but overall, America first, MAGA.
Well, I will say that I would be very concerned if my representative called my city doom and gloom. That doesn't sound like the happy place. It sounds like MAGA is struggling right now and not happy. And I'm happy that MAGA is struggling. I'm not happy you're struggling, but I'm happy MAGA is struggling. I hate the movement. I do not mind America first.
That's a shame. Okay. You hate the MAGA movement, but you don't mind America first. How about the new branded America Only? Do you know about that one?
I hate that too. This is a global.
Do you even know what that
economic? Don't care. America Only sounds like they're America. Some people that are with America being by themselves and standalone, and I don't know the term isolationist. Sounds perfect, but I am not for isolationism, not in a global economy that would only hurt America. And for somebody, only people that don't watch global news and understand global economics could support such a weird way of thinking in today's intermingled economy. But we're not here to discuss that today. Today we're here to discuss why Trump is not releasing the Epstein files. Dun, 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 dun. Should be a surprise, right? So right now, there's a young lady named Stacey Willis who used to date Epstein. This is Sir X. She claims she was groped in front of him. That's one thing. The next thing is they released the numbers ranging from 3 to 5% of the overall files in the month that they had to release the files. Out of those files, hundreds of pages in a row are redacted. That means they throw a black line through it so you can't read it. Like hundreds of pages out of the 3% to 5% that they actually released when they were supposed to release 100% by law. They started putting files up on the internet on the page that they were required to do, where Trump was accidentally seen in the files and the files was yoked back down, even though it was required that the files would be released. 16 files were removed from the website. 120 pages were redacted, excuse me. They're calling it phase 1 of the release, even though there's not supposed to be phases. The law, as determined by Congress and will have to be interpreted to the letter by the Supreme Court, was that everything be released. And now they're throwing pictures up into this file of Bill Clinton with Michael Jackson, and these pictures weren't taken, had nothing to do with Epstein. They're just throwing random pictures of Bill Clinton into the website to make it look like Bill Clinton was doing something that he wasn't, because he wasn't even with Epstein at all. It was a separate occasion altogether. It's Michael Jackson and his kid or something like that. Ridiculous. False videos of Epstein when he was unalived or when he was found unalive in his cage, his cell. False videos, unbelievable things happening with this. And most importantly, even though they protected every single person that was accused, all of their names were redacted, even though by law, those names were supposed to be released. Every name was supposed to be released. They didn't release a single name. Well, they released a couple of the names of victims. So a couple of the victims were outed, docked, is it what it's called? And none of the perpetrators were released. So it appears that we have an incredible amount of illegal activity going on by our current administration, breaking the law. And in case you don't know, the way a law is created is it's written by Congress and then signed by the president. The president signed this into law, and then he's breaking the very law that he signed. Now, here on the think tank, we're able to look in, put our brains together, and see that these files were not going to be released. While many of the other pundits and news channels seem surprised that this information was not released, I might have died of a heart attack if this information was actually released, because it's quite obvious that Trump is covering himself. He's not going to release the files. Out of all the things coming from these files, it is obvious, 100% obvious, that Trump does not want these files released. Whatever's in it is worse. However, the MAGA party still supports Trump, even though he is, at this point, obviously doing something wrong with little girls when he was, just a young man, a young boy, a young playboy, as they quoted him, as the quote goes. He was a young playboy at the age I am now, 50, running around with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. All right, that's what's going on. Dion, would you like to weigh in?
There should be a hashtag. I'd like to believe her. Remember that one? Believe her? But in this scenario with Epstein and Trump, people on this side at least always see through it in the sense that it's always we got Trump. Like you mentioned earlier with Bill Clinton, wow, how ridiculous this is. And all the other perpetrators' names that you said yourself were redacted. Now, mind you, there are rumors on the internet that they made a mistake and that people copy and paste these documents because they're in a PDF form, that they can actually unredact them. Did you know that? But that's just those conspiracy theorists. I'll leave that up to you, your journalistic integrity, to find out. But that's how I feel about that. We finally got Trump, but do you really?
Here's the thing. You're making it about Trump, which...
Am I? Me? Oh, okay.
Well, here's the thing. This is about the victims. This is about releasing...
No, it's not. But go ahead.
This is about releasing information that will finally give these victims the closure that they're requesting, that they need, that they deserve after decades of abuse, of having to deal with this, of being vilified. This is about their retribution. Even Trump's staunchest supporter, Marjorie Taylor Greene, walked out of a room with them young ladies. They're not so young anymore. Some of them crying about tears damn near pouring out of her eyes about the things that were going on. And we're all saying the same thing. If there's nothing to see here, release the files and let's end this and move on. Give these girls closure. The fact that there's no release, even though it was a law created specifically for the release is making it about Trump because Trump is making it about himself. He's making it about himself by protecting the people in the files, by protecting allegedly himself. Hey everybody, this is your boy Leo. You know me. I've been doing commercials for 15 years, television commercials, radio ads, billboards. Now I'm trying to step it into the big leagues. I want to be an independent filmmaker. I've got the degrees, I've got the experience, and I need your help to make my first independent film, Garot. So Garot is Boys in the Hood meets Clue. So these dudes from Brooklyn is trying to buy their drugs to supply the hood. So they go to the mafia stronghold and they purchase their drugs, but one of them turns up dead. And now there's a race to find out who did it. The Godfather's going to send in his hit squad, Squadra Assassina, to take them out. They don't figure out who did it because somebody died on his turf and he's not happy and he can't have stuff like that happening in his business. So please, if you want to show support, my Kickstarter campaign is down in the description box. He's making it about himself because he's not following the law and releasing the files, which would put an end to this. Now he's taking a super hard political hit doing this. Even MAGA is cracking at the seams because he's not doing this. What is in those files that would make him that's so important that he would watch his party fracture the way it has? The only chink in his armor, he could even get away with the rest of the stuff he was doing if he just released the files and he was cleared. So why is he not releasing the files?
Even though sometimes people in MAGA disagree, is that there are a lot of people in those files, Democrats, Republicans, globalists of predominance, that will get hurt and be exposed. I may not agree with it because I'm an 80-20 Trumper. Did you know about those people? Agree with Trump 80% of the time, 20% not so much. And that's the way I see it.
So do you think that Trump is protecting everybody else but not himself? He's not serving his own interests? Is that what your allegation here is?
Well, not so much in the sense that he doesn't really have to protect himself, as just make the Democrats look a fool and just drag this out for the next 3 years to make the Democratic Party look Trump deranged and a fool as they're being exposed more so, especially as hypocrites.
So instead of it being about the victims, for you, it's about making the Democrats look like a fool.
Well, it was never really about the victims because
It's about the victims now. Let's give
no, it's
the
not.
victims
Now it's
closure.
what about a few months ago? What was it about a few months
Right
ago?
now, let's give the victims closure. What about that? Let's not deal with anything but at this present moment, giving the victims closure. What is the issue with that?
There is no issue about that.
There is an issue with it because Trump is not releasing the files. So why are we not giving these victims closure?
Well, looks like they have to take him to court if it's about the victims.
Why? So you're supporting the fact that Trump is not doing this? You're saying that this is okay?
No, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm saying that this whole scenario is a political pawn to hurt Trump, not help the victims at all. And
So
the
then Trump
victims
could get
are
around it if he just released the files, though. He could get around it. Just release the files and then it's over.
well, if he really, again, like I said earlier, if he releases the files in its entirety, unredacted, a lot of people for dominance will get hurt. And a lot of people in predominance that have power and control can't have that happen. A lot of people for dominance that have power and control over this administration and beyond are not going to let that happen.
So then he's not going to drain the swamp because he's swimming around with the rest of the alligators in the swamp. He is a part of the swamp. His administration is now the swamp that needs to be drained.
Well, people on this side will agree with you on that one. That's why there's so many fractures in MAGA. But just like the congressman said, this is not a swamp. This is more of a sewer because swamps are man-made. I mean, swamps are made from God and have a purpose, where sewers are man-made. So, in the meantime, yes, when you run for office and you get elected, it's easy, like the Borg, to be assimilated into the system. And looks like Trump has been assimilated into the system. We finally have the tools necessary to control that guy in whatever regard.
I have another theory. It seems more like to me that Trump's always been an alligator in the swamp, and now he's just grown to full size, and the other alligators that are smaller than him are just swimming around him, and he's just the figurehead now, but he's never been anything other than what you're looking at: the con man, the thief, the person that likes little girls. But that's just my theory. And history, which I know MAGA doesn't particularly care for, because, duh, if you just look at who he has always been, then really, since nothing has changed, this is predictable behavior. Because nothing with Trump has changed. This is who he's always been. Grab him by the boop, Trump. This is the guy who
Well,
says he can just walk up and grab him by their private areas and nobody's going to do nothing because he got money. And now people are surprised about him covering up the Epstein files. This is ridiculous. Release the files.
well, up to the victims, and all people support the victims to make that happen. Otherwise, it's going to be used a political tool just to try to take down Trump because we got him this time.
No, if we wanted to get him, we would go after the fact that moron Mike Johnson closed down the ACA, which is going to be another episode where we discuss that. We have many tools and levers that we can use to get Trump using the economy and his very, very, very bad political stances. We don't need to use victims. He's protecting himself by allowing these victims to suffer more. And that is what is causing the outrage. We don't need to use this as a tool. The ACA subsidies, the Medicaid, the grift, the fact that he's making himself rich is enough. Anyway, if you're enjoying the content, please subscribe to our channel. That way you can catch more episodes and you can support me. I'm working on my first independent film. I'm stepping out of working and doing just commercials, and now I want to do my first feature. And if you want to support that, become an executive producer, get your own name on this big screen. There's a, there's a link down in the description box where you can see how you can support us and become a part of the movie making world. Dion, any closing statements?
Yes, we are the media, and now so are you. So if you share this content, you too will get your own independent journalistic integrity up, and hopefully you'll add your comments as well and beyond.
All right, this is Leo and Dion signing out.